And for a minute there, I lost myself. I lost myself. And luckily, that's all the singing you're going to hear out of me on this video. So today, we're going to be talking about the Voco Loco, and to really show what it can do, we're also going to be looking at, let's call it a basic, maybe standard, maybe typical vocal pedal board setup. Keep in mind though, when I say, typical or basic or whatever, I'm not trying to say anything. I don't even know what a basic pedal board would look like, but as an audio engineer like myself, these are what I would look for in a pedal board if I was going to have to engineer a band or something, or need to help recreate what I do in the studio for a band's vocalist. So first, let's jump into the Voco Loco. The Voco Loco is a vocal preamp and effects loop, and it's really useful if what you want to do is bring, guitar pedals into your vocal train. It does an XLR input and an XLR output, meaning you can use any standard handheld dynamic microphone with it. It has the send and receive that then go to all the pedals, and it's got phantom power, although if you ask me, it's going to be a little overpowered unless you have like one of those like hypercardioid mics. On the controls, we see the mic in, which is sort of your just, preamp gain level going in. A low and high equalizer stuff. You can see I'm not really doing too much with it. Send and receive. This is for the effects loop, talking about how much signal you want to send and how much signal you want to receive. If you already work with audio equipment, this should be fairly typical anyway. Tone, which I have amped up just a bit, just for a little bit of clarity. And then the mix, which I have set to 100% wet. The mix would be used to mix in the dry signal as well as the wet signal. The only way I can see this, mix thing being useful is if you already have other vocal units you're happy with, like that TC Helicon or Helison voice pedals, for instance, where they already are imparting a lot onto the sound and you don't want to completely muddy it with everything in the chain. However, I don't have any of those, so I have it set to 100% wet because we're just going to be using my guitar pedals to make this work. And to be sure, right now, all you're hearing is the Voco Loco. You're hearing it as a preamp, and you're hearing this microphone, the Sennheiser E835, which, if you ask me, is one of the best budget vocal mics you can get. It's way better than an SM58 and an SM57, and we know they can take a hit. One thing I really appreciate about the Voco Loco is that's just really straightforward. Once you get your settings, it's there, and there's not too much you can really mess with. If there was one complaint, I'd say, man, I wish it had a compressor built into it. But that's in the rest of the chain. So now that we've kind of gone over the Voco Loco, let's actually see it in action and talk about making a basic pedal board or a standard pedal board for your vocals. The first two pedals we're going to talk about are pedals I think you should always just leave on if you're going to be performing on stage with your vocal pedal board. They will help you cut through a mix, and they'll help you be very functional in a wide variety of venues, no matter if you have a good or bad sound guy, or if the venue doesn't have a very good PA or stage monitor setup. It will make your life a lot easier. The first one is a compressor. So if you don't know what a compressor is, it's basically, it does what it sounds like. It compresses. It takes your highest volumes and your lowest volumes, and it pushes them together. So your highest volumes come down, your lowest volumes come up. And this is set to pretty mild settings. Here it is without the compressor, and here it is with the compressor. You'll notice that there is a bit of a volume bump. That's a big advantage to using compressor. Since it takes the high peaks down, you can use it to then turn everything up a bit. And so this won't be like a huge, blow your hair off, change. You can do more extreme settings with it. Like I can turn this up and then up my level just a whole bunch like this. But considering that we're just in my studio space, that's really not necessary. You'll notice that I'm keeping my compressor at the beginning of my pedal chain here. To me, this is the best place to put it because it helps you level out your vocals going into the pedals, so that way you have a much more consistent tone. The next pedal, though, the second of the two that you should leave always on, is an equalizer pedal, and you want that on all the time. So here I am without the equalizer, and here I am with the equalizer. So you'll notice that there's just like a bit of a mid-scoop happening right now, and there's a good reason for it. It has very little to do with the sound. It's because when I turn on all of these pedals, these are the frequencies where they feed back, and we do something called ringing out. So I'm going to skip ahead just a wee bit, and we're going to just put all the pedals in so you can hear it with and without the equalizer. All the pedals again. Hi, hello, hi. Taking out the equalizer. Hear that feedback? Putting it back in. Hi, I'm back and no feedback. I'll even put it back out there. Nothing, right? So yeah, even though I may not necessarily enjoy the sound of a mid-scoop on dry vocals, it's much more about keeping the audience and yourself and your equipment safe. So these two pedals stay always on. They monitor your levels and they help you make sure you don't feed back. Feedback is like every sound guy and vocalist's just worst nightmare. The fact that you can get rid of it with a guitar pedal is a huge game changer for me, because there's been a lot of times where both as a vocalist or a guy in a band or as a sound guy, we're in a venue where we don't have the ability to ring out a microphone. And so being able to do it on your own for the sound guy will save him just a ton of trouble. So you might be wondering, well, wait, how do we ring out a microphone? Let's look at it. So all of the pedals are on again. I'm going to flatline the EQ and kind of just show you how I rung it out real quick. So I'm coming in for a quick voiceover here. What I'm doing is I listen for the frequency and then I decide which one it is on there. I might hunt and turn it up a bit to see if I can make that frequency feeding back louder. If it does get louder when I turn up that band, then I do the opposite and turn it down. This takes a bit of practice. I've gotten to the point where I can do it mostly by ear, but that's because I'm an experienced sound guy. You can do this by fishing. You can also look up a lot of apps like Spectrograph, for instance, which will help you identify exactly which frequency is feeding back, and then you can bring it out on there. Honestly, don't worry about it too much. Just practice, and just, once you get rid of feedback, you got rid of feedback. And like I said, it's really cool that you can do this with an EQ pedal. All right, now we're back. Let's talk about the other pedals that you don't want to leave always on. The first one's going to be a Boss SD1 Super Drive. Now, you might be wondering, why the Boss SD1? I tried a lot of my distortion pedals, and to me, the Boss SD1 does the best job of preserving, the intelligibility of your lyrics, etc., while adding that little extra dirt. Let's hear it. Here I am without the SD1, and here I am with the SD1. As you can tell, it's a little crunchy. You can add in a little bit more distortion, a little more level, a little more tone or whatever to help it cut through a little bit more. Like right now, I can hear it a lot better. Just keep in mind that whatever you do here will affect whatever you're doing with the equalizer. It's funny, it's like the Boss SD1 is definitely not like my favorite overdrive at all. I was really hoping I could just get a clone to do it. But for vocals, I think your best bet's an SD1. It'll help you cut through. You want to use this in like louder parts of the song when everything's super loud. It'll give you that little extra edge and help catch people's ear to what you're saying. The next pedal we're going to talk about is the Empress Effects Nebulus pedal. It's a bit of a mod station. It has a chorus, vibrato, univibe on there, and I'm only using this as a chorus pedal. Here I am without it, and now here I am with it. I'm cool. I'm smooth. I'm a bit airy. It's good for like softer passages, and honestly, I would be tempted to leave this pedal on all the time. Whenever I'm in the studio and mixing vocals, on top of maybe adding a little saturation here or there to help it cut through, I'll also add like a doubling effect, and that's basically what a chorus does, is it doubles your voice. It adds a little bit of vibrato and a little bit of delay, and that's how you get the chorus sound. And this is something that I would consider leaving always on, but experiment with it. Whereas the Empress Effects Nebulus, I think, is justifiable as a good chorus pedal option for you, even though it's like $300. This next pedal, I'm just using because I don't have many digital delays. It's the Red Panda Particle Granular Delay. And yeah, I don't think you need this. I just don't have a good cheap digital delay. I think you could get away with using a Behringer digital delay or something like that. But the Red Panda is cool because it has a tap tempo. Here I am without the Red Panda, and here I am with it. Check. There is an echo. You're going to want to play with this, but delay and reverb tend to be always on sound effects for a lot of like sound guys in different venues. I sometimes think this is a good idea. Other times I think this is a bad idea. As you can hear right now, it's a little distracting. But since you have it with you, you can decide when you turn it on and off. So don't leave it on all the time. Have fun with it. Use it during your choruses. Use it during the softer parts if you want to make things way more dramatic. Have fun with it. And again, you don't need the Red Panda Particle Granular Delay. Just like a Behringer or a Boss digital delay will definitely do the job for you. And the last pedal we're going to look at is the Caline Snake Bite Reverb. This you definitely want to get, this exact model. I mean, you don't want exactly the Nebulus, maybe. Definitely don't want exactly the particle, Red Panda delay. But the Caline Pedals Snake Bite Reverb, this is a great pedal. It's only $50 and it makes a lot of different really good reverb sounds. So here I am without the Caline Reverb, and here I am with it. Now, you can tell that it's pretty subtle. I can turn it up and get a much longer tone. But if you ask me, this is distracting. I would probably leave it more around here. Me personally, I only like a little reverb on my stuff, especially my vocals, maybe a little longer than that. But you can do a lot of stuff to get different tones with it, like this one, for instance. As you can tell, it's long, but it's really dull, so this could do well, again, in a really short part of a song. However, you're not going to have a lot of time while you're on stage, to fit with your pedals. So I would say this is probably pretty safe. And one thing I like doing is just having them all on.
Here's that original part again. And for a minute there, I lost myself.
I said the first time would be the last time I was going to sing, but I have to do it at least once, right? You might notice that while I was doing that, I messed with my EQ because I could hear it about to feed back. You'll get really good at detecting that and kind of figuring out what frequency that is after a bit of practice. So anyway, that's the Vocaloco. It's a great way to use your normal microphone and get your guitar pedals involved with it. And this is a pretty standard straight-ahead vocal pedal board, which I think you'll have a lot of fun with. Yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe button or something. Take it easy.